So you want to make a 3D printed Wasp helmet with Alumuluster clear coats and a resin printed visor? Well, let me show you how. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Luke, and in this video I am making a 3D printed Wasp helmet. This helmet consists of gunmetals, Alumuluster clear coats, candy paints, resin printed visors, and in the end I also get it signed by the actor herself. So in this video I'm going to be going through all of the painting techniques, briefly running over the eyes, and then just talking about the files and how you can make one of these yourself. So without further ado, let's go and find some files. Alright, so the first thing, you kind of guessed it, it's Dio3D where we're getting some files. Now these are their Quantumania Wasp files. Since me starting making this project, they've gone and revised the files because I like to annoy them, like a lot. And they've split it up into multiple different parts, which makes it super simple. So we've got the chin, you've got the face, you've got this top dome bit, which is the wasp bit. I love this bit. And then you've got the back, the two ears, the red strip at the back, and then the two different visors. For the visor, we're going to be doing my resin printed method. If you are interested in that, go and check out the video. I'll leave a link in the description. And then we'll pretty much be doing the entire thing FDM'd. I don't really feel like resin printing it, but the definite will be this top bit up here. Because you can kind of see in this reference image, it's really detailed. So we want to capture all of that. I don't want any layer lines. And if you are interested in making this helmet, any other helmets, Halo, Star Wars, Marvel, a whole lot, don't forget to use CRE8 at checkout and you'll get yourself a nice 20% discount on making all of your projects come to life. So massive thank you to Dio3 yet again for helping me out with all of my videos and supporting everything that I do. Now I do also have the helmet printed out here and it's been sanded and smoothed and primed and wet sanded. Now if you are interested in that, I will leave a link down in the description in my process of printing stuff, sanding it and priming it and wet sanding it ready for paint. Now you can also see I've gone ahead and I've done the top Wasp piece, and this thing is insane. It is super detailed, and I've just sprayed this in some gunmetal. I'll talk about paint in 2 seconds, but other than that, the whole helmet is prepped and ready to go. So let's go and talk about the paint. Alright, so let's talk how we painted this helmet. So the first thing we needed to do was either resin print or FDM. Now the top scales and the visor are resin printed, and the rest of the whole thing is just FDM'd. And for the visor, I'll also leave a link down in the description for how I make my lenses, which are all resin printed, buffed, and clear coated. And also, so you know, for this resin, it was a clear resin tinted with some yellow and a tiny bit of red, just to give it that sort of orangey yellow texture. So onto actually painting this thing. The first thing I went and did was shoot the whole helmet in some of this. This is a Alsa 2K Gloss Black. This is a 2K gloss black, meaning that you don't need to put a clear coat over the top ready for like a chrome where it's extra shiny. Just lay down one coat of this and then you can spray your chrome straight over the top. It's a really nice paint, and once you figure out how to paint it, it's really easy to use. Now yes, this has to be shot through an HVLP gun, but as a substitute you could just use some flat black and then clear coat it in a gloss clear. Either that duper color stuff, or if you wanted to try and use some of the 2K in a rattle can with the activator, that's totally fine as well. The one thing I will also say is I am using 2K products. If you do use 2K products, you need to take safety precautions pretty strongly. But you want to be able to find a really good respirator. I would recommend the M3 range, or the 3M 6800 series. This one. It's a full face respirator if you pick the right filters, and that also make sure you're shooting it in an environment where there is enough air ventilation, just because this stuff isn't the best for you, but I mean it gives cool results. But once that gloss black is down, if you have any runs, dribbles and that sort of maybe some issues within there, just wet sand them back with about 800 grit wet sanding to 2000, and then polish it back and then buff and shine it back up. I'll leave a link to Rogue Gallery Cosplay's tutorial on this in his Instagram. Totally great video on just explaining it in a really short, precise manner on how to fix it. The next thing I went and did is wet sand the helmets where the parts will be gunmetal. Now because this is a 2K gloss black, it's really shiny, meaning paint doesn't really stick to it very well. So we have to go through with some wet sandpaper. Just some 800 or 1000 does the trick perfectly, just attacking the spots that are gunmetal. So all these Alumuluster bits are left, but going around the visor, going around the back of the helmet, going around the ears. I just wet sanded it just so it discolored, meaning that the paint the gunmetal, when it goes down, has something to bite to. And then I made sure to leave the Alumuluster bits flat and then just tape them off when we prepped the gunmetal. As for the gunmetal, I just ended up using some TS38 by Tamiya. This is their lacquer paint. It goes in a rattle can. They are very small, a little bit pricey, but they work amazingly. So I've just done 2 to 3 light coats in all the gunmetal sections, even this top scale as well. Now, you'll also notice from the files, this is separated, meaning I just went ahead and sprayed it in some TS80, which also looks like this as well. And it's one of Tamiya's flat clear coats, which you have seen me use before on my Death Trooper and some other projects, which it just looks amazing. The flat clear works perfect. So once I let the gunmetal dry for about 4 to 5 days, I could have done it sooner. I just had other things on that I just left it to then. The next step was Alumuluster. Now, as you know from the channel, everyone loves Alumuluster. So I taped off all the areas that needed to be gunmetal and then shot the Alumuluster through an LPH 80. Now, you can also use the LPH 50, which has got the 0.8mm nozzle stock standard within it, but I just add my extra nozzle, which is a 0.8mm nozzle, lower the pressure down to about 25 PSI, and barely let any Alumuluster through. There's a bit of a technique to it, but you get the hang of it pretty quickly. So that is sprayed around the entire helmet, all of the extra little details around the back, around the ears, around the face. And then once that was complete, I let it dry for a little bit of time and then hit on some of the yellow. Now this yellow is a little bit interesting. I didn't know if it would work, but I think it looks really, really good. Now there isn't much yellow on Wasp. It's this little area up on the top and then this little stripe on the chin. Now for this, both of those areas were Alumulustered, meaning I had a nice super shiny chrome base coat. So for this yellowy gold, I just used some SMS Clear Yellow. Now this is part of their candy range and it's a clear paint. The benefits of clear paint is you can do, say, 3-4 layers of paint and maybe it's a really light, sort of tinged yellow. Whereas if you go maybe 20 layers of paint, you start to get a really deep dark yellow. I couldn't tell you how many layers I did. I just kept going until it was smooth, until I liked it. And this is over the top of Alumuluster. So I taped around the gunmetal and then just add a little bit of paper just to stop the paint going onto this Alumuluster panel. There are some problems at the moment with my black, where if I put tape on the Alumuluster, it just peels it straight off. So I'm working on that. Most of the time you probably shouldn't have, don't probably have to put tape, but do test it before you go and tape your parts. So this was just shot through a airbrush, just at a regular PSI. This recommends 15 to 30. 12 to 15 PSI this one recommends. Just spray it, really nice light mist coats, and then build it up and up and up until you're happy with it. And then the very last thing is clear coating the entire thing. So for this, I just used some MS222K Clear. This is a 2-to-1 ratio with a 10% thinner. And yes, this is 2K, so do make sure you're using the right protection and all of that, like I said earlier. But I just sprayed one nice light tack coat over the whole parts. This avoids running as much as possible, but also will give you good tackness when you put the wetter coat down. And then I just let that dry for a little bit of time. Now, if you do get runs in it, you do the same as that black. Just wet sand it back. I went with 2000 to 2200 grit. Just wet sand it back, then use some buffing compound and polish it right back up. And as you can see, that was done across the entire top of this helmet dome piece. You can't see it at all. Now, the one thing I am going to say is this Tamiya TS38, I did have some problems with it. Now, you can see on the faceplate that it looks totally fine, that nothing has run, until you hit the back where everything's not really uniform anymore. I do believe because this was on an angle, I did do a little bit too wet of a coat on the first tack coat. That first tack coat, do really light mist. Be careful with this TS38 because it seems to have shifted and run, whereas parts where it was flat laying down, like on the ears and on the faceplate, I don't seem to have a problem. So take that into consideration. If you want to use a different gunmetal that you know isn't going to shift around when spraying clear coats, go with that. If not, just do take your time, but it is still a beautiful gunmetal when you get it correct. But I just think doing some really light tack coats over the first coat is probably the most important part in getting this to look really, really good. But that's pretty much it. It's very complicated in the facts of all this, the really fancy paints using 8-field P guns and all the PSI and the pressuring and stuff. But deep down, it's actually quite easy, just consisting of 3 different colors. So other than that, we'll head on to the next bit, which is pretty much the end of the video. So the helmet is complete. I am super happy with how this one turned out. The gunmetal with the flat clear up the top looks amazing. The visor, that one's okay. I will give it that. The candies on the side of the ears are amazing. The clear coat I have done, I think, one of my best clear coat jobs ever at the moment. And getting that final signature up the top approved by the actor herself is pretty special to have. Yes, obviously there are some little imperfections with runs in the clear coat, little bits where I've accidentally wet sanded too much clear coat off. There's obviously always going to be some problems that I find, but other than that, I'm super happy with how this one turned out. And huge thank you to the actor Evangeline Lilly for being able to sign this at Supernova Sydney this weekend. Actually, well, today, because I've come home, filmed a YouTube video, and then going to upload it because I'm not very organized. But thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you all next week, where we're going to probably be doing an overview of the Mark II's electronics, because I get so many questions on how I did the helmet, the PCBs, the chest, the back flaps, and all that sort of fun stuff. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you learned something, and I will see you all next week. Oh, and the last thing, time for the final result.